There exists a sacred agreement that each soul makes before entering the physical world, a divine contract of forgetfulness. This veil of amnesia isn't punishment or limitation, but rather one of the most profound acts of spiritual courage your soul has ever undertaken. When you consider the infinite wisdom of universal design, you begin to understand that forgetting is not an accident, but a purposeful mechanism. The veil of forgetfulness serves as the foundation upon which your entire earthly experience is built. Without it, the human journey would be fundamentally altered, perhaps even impossible. What many seekers don't realize is that this forgetting represents your soul's first exercise of free will in relation to your current life. Before entering the physical plane, your higher self consciously chooses to set aside the vast knowledge and awareness of the spiritual realm. This decision isn't made lightly. It's a sacrifice offered in service to your soul's evolution. Imagine for a moment what it would be like to retain complete awareness of the infinite expanse of spiritual existence while navigating the dense, limited experience of physical life. The contrast would be so overwhelming that focusing on earthly lessons would become nearly impossible. Your attention would constantly drift toward the spiritual realms, making engagement with physical reality seem trivial by comparison. The veil creates the necessary conditions for authentic human experience. When you forget the grandeur of spiritual existence, you can fully immerse yourself in the beauty, challenges, and growth opportunities of earthly life. You learn to navigate with faith rather than certainty, developing spiritual muscles that can only be strengthened through the resistance of not knowing. This amnesia also protects the sanctity of your lessons. Each soul incarnates with specific growth intentions, patterns to heal, wisdom to develop, love to express. If you remembered choosing these lessons, you might approach them intellectually rather than experientially. The forgetting ensures you encounter your soul curriculum organically, allowing genuine transformation rather than mechanical completion of spiritual assignments. Edgar once described this process as the soul's most generous gift to itself, a temporary limitation that ultimately enables unlimited growth. His insights remind us that what appears as a constraint actually creates the conditions for profound spiritual expansion. The veil's thickness varies between individuals. Some souls choose a denser, forgetting to ensure complete immersion in physical experience. Others retain subtle connections to spiritual awareness, experiencing it as intuition, spiritual sensitivity, or a persistent sense of something beyond the material world. These variations are intentional, perfectly aligned with each soul's unique learning requirements. What's truly remarkable is that while your conscious mind forgets, your soul remembers everything. This creates a fascinating dynamic where your deeper self guides you toward experiences that serve your highest good, even when your conscious mind doesn't understand why you're drawn to certain situations, relationships, or challenges. The veil of forgetfulness isn't permanent. As you progress spiritually, the membrane between worlds naturally thins. Moments of spiritual awakening often involve partial lifting of this veil, allowing glimpses of greater truth to filter through. These revelations aren't so much about gaining new information, as they are about remembering what your soul has always known. When you recognize the forgetting as a sacred choice, rather than a cosmic punishment or limitation, you develop greater compassion for yourself and others. The spiritual amnesia we all experience isn't a flaw in the system. It's an essential feature that makes the whole experiment of human existence possible and meaningful. If souls retained complete memory of their existence between lives, the very purpose of incarnation would be fundamentally compromised. This universal principle operates not as a limitation, but as the essential catalyst for authentic spiritual growth. The forgetting creates the fertile ground in which the seeds of evolution can truly take root and flourish. Consider what would happen if you entered this life with full awareness of all your past experiences, spiritual knowledge, and the detailed blueprint of your soul's journey. Your human experience would become a mere intellectual exercise rather than the transformative journey it's designed to be. You would approach life's challenges with detached awareness, knowing the predetermined outcomes and lessons, thus rendering the experience hollow and superficial. The veil of forgetfulness creates a neutral field, a sacred space where genuine choice becomes possible. When you encounter a difficult person or situation without the memory that you specifically chose this challenge for your growth, you must respond authentically from your present level of development. This creates the conditions for real spiritual progress rather than rehearsed responses based on prior knowledge. True spiritual evolution occurs through direct experience, not intellectual understanding. When you face challenges without remembering their spiritual purpose, you develop virtues organically. Patience grows through enduring difficulties without knowing when they'll end. Compassion develops through connecting with others' suffering, without the detachment that comes from seeing it merely as a soul lesson. Love deepens when offered freely without awareness of past connections or future outcomes. The amnesia between lives also prevents us from being overwhelmed by the accumulated weight of multiple existences. Imagine carrying the emotional burden of hundreds or thousands of lifetimes. The griefs, traumas, and sorrows would be crushing to the human psyche. The forgetting serves as a protective mechanism, allowing each incarnation to begin with the freshness and openness required for new growth. This temporary forgetting also makes possible one of the most profound spiritual experiences available in human form, the journey of remembering. When spiritual truths emerge from within, rather than being recalled from prior knowledge, they transform you at a fundamental level. The difference between being told a truth and discovering it through lived experience is immeasurable. The forgetting allows for the miracle of rediscovery, where each spiritual insight feels like both a new revelation and a homecoming to something deeply familiar. Many spiritual traditions speak of life as a divine play or cosmic game. For any game to be engaging, the players must temporarily forget that they're playing. Similarly, souls forget their eternal nature to fully engage with the human experience. This willing suspension of higher awareness creates the conditions for authentic engagement with life's joys, sorrows, and lessons. The veil also ensures that relationships develop organically, based on present connections rather than past associations. When you meet someone from your soul group, without remembering your history together, you have the opportunity to build a relationship based on who you both are now, not who you were before. This creates space for new patterns of interaction and healing that might not be possible if you approached each other with the baggage or expectations of past connections. Perhaps most importantly, the forgetting creates the conditions for genuine free will. With complete knowledge of spiritual laws, past lives, and the consequences of every action, choice would be reduced to a calculation rather than an authentic expression of your being. The not knowing creates a space where real choice becomes possible, where you act from who you truly are rather than from accumulated knowledge. The physical realm offers unique opportunities for growth that aren't available in non-physical dimensions. By temporarily forgetting our spiritual heritage, we become fully immersed in physical experience, engaging with material reality on its own terms. This immersion allows for types of learning and growth that wouldn't be possible if we maintained constant awareness of our spiritual nature. The cycles of forgetting and remembering mirror the greater rhythms of the universe, the inhale and exhale of cosmic breath, the contraction and expansion that characterize all life. The forgetting represents a divine contraction, a focusing of infinite awareness into the specific, limited experience of human form. The gradual spiritual awakening that follows represents the expansion back toward universal consciousness, but now enriched by the unique experiences gathered during the journey through limitation. When you understand that forgetting is not a flaw, but an essential component of the soul's evolution, you can embrace your not knowing with the same reverence as your moments of spiritual clarity. Both states serve the greater purpose of your development, creating the necessary tension between ignorance and wisdom that propels spiritual growth. Though the veil of forgetfulness is nearly complete, it is not impenetrable. Like a fabric worn thin in places, there are moments when the membrane between worlds becomes momentarily transparent, allowing fragments of spiritual memory to filter through to our conscious awareness. These brief glimpses into our deeper reality are not accidents, but carefully designed aspects of our spiritual journey, small reminders that there is more to our existence than what we perceive through our physical senses. Dreams represent perhaps the most common pathway through which spiritual memories emerge. When the conscious mind relaxes its grip during sleep, the soul often travels to realms that resonate with its true nature. The symbolic language of dreams frequently contains coded messages from our higher self, glimpses of past incarnations, or even direct communications from spiritual guides. Pay particular attention to recurring dreams or those with unusual clarity and emotional resonance. These often contain the most significant spiritual information trying to reach your waking consciousness. Many spiritual seekers report dreams of unfamiliar, yet somehow deeply familiar places, ethereal landscapes, crystalline cities, or temples of light that feel more like memories than imagination. These may be glimpses of the soul's experiences between lives or in other dimensions. Similarly, dreams of people you've never met in this life but with whom you feel profound connection often represent soul family members or guides making contact through the thinner veil of sleep. Déjà vu experience represent another fascinating breach in the veil. That uncanny sensation of having lived a moment before, complete with its sights, sounds, and emotional texture, often indicates a momentary alignment between your present experience and your soul's broader awareness. These aren't merely neurological glitches, as materialistic science might suggest, but rather instants when your conscious mind briefly accesses the soul's expanded perception, which exists beyond linear time. In these moments, you're simultaneously experiencing an event and recognizing it from a perspective outside physical time-space reality. Inexplicable attractions to certain places, cultures, or historical periods frequently indicate soul connections from previous incarnations. When you feel an immediate, almost visceral resonance with a location you've never physically visited or a culture far removed from your current life circumstances, your soul may be recognizing aspects of its own journey. These powerful attractions serve as breadcrumbs leading toward experiences that will help reintegrate important aspects of your spiritual development across multiple lifetimes. Some of the most compelling leaks in the veil occur in relationships. The phenomenon of meeting someone for the first time, yet feeling an immediate, profound connection, whether harmonious or challenging, often signals a soul recognition. These instant resonances bypass the usual getting acquainted process because, on a deeper level, your souls are continuing a conversation that has extended across multiple lifetimes. Pay attention to these powerful attractions or aversions. They rarely occur by chance and often contain important opportunities for healing, growth, or the fulfillment of soul agreements. Children, whose veils are naturally thinner, sometimes provide remarkable evidence of spiritual memory. Their matter-of-fact descriptions of "before I came here" or recognition of places they've never visited in this life often reflect genuine spiritual memories rather than mere imagination. The gradual thickening of the veil typically occurs between ages 5 and 7, which is why young children often display greater spiritual sensitivity and awareness than adults. Spontaneous memories of past lives occasionally break through even without hypnotic regression. These typically emerge during moments of reduced conscious control, during meditation, in the transitional states between sleeping and waking, or during intense emotional experiences that momentarily crack open the rigid boundaries of ordinary awareness. Such memories often come with surprising details and emotional resonance that can't be explained by normal learning or experience in this lifetime. Profound intuitive knowing represents another form of memory escaping through the veil. Those moments when you simply know something without logical explanation often represent your conscious mind, briefly accessing the soul's vast reservoir of wisdom and experience. This intuitive function serves as a bridge between your everyday awareness and your higher self, allowing crucial guidance to filter through even when complete memories remain inaccessible. Synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that defy statistical probability, often mark moments when your soul's intention aligns perfectly with physical reality. These events frequently feel like remembering a divine appointment you didn't consciously know you had made. When multiple elements of your life converge in ways that seem orchestrated, you're likely witnessing the manifestation of patterns set in motion by your higher self before incarnation. Creative inspiration frequently draws upon soul memory. Artists, musicians, writers, and innovators often describe their creative process not as inventing something new, but as remembering or receiving something that already exists. These creative downloads often represent spiritual knowledge filtering through the veil, translated into forms accessible to human understanding. The profound resonance that certain works of art or music evoke suggests they carry frequencies that remind our souls of higher realities. Physical sensations also carry spiritual memories. Unexplained physical responses, goosebumps, tears, or sensations of expansion or contraction, when encountering certain symbols, sounds, or ideas, often indicate recognition at the soul level. Your body serves as an instrument through which your soul communicates, registering resonance with spiritual truth in physical sensations that transcend mental understanding. Meditation and contemplative practices thin the veil by gradually shifting awareness from surface consciousness to deeper levels of being. The insights that emerge during these practices often represent not new information, but the recovery of what your soul has always known. Regular meditation creates channels through which spiritual memory can more easily reach your conscious awareness. These glimpses through the veil serve multiple purposes in your spiritual journey. They provide confirmation that your existence extends beyond your current physical experience, offer guidance at crucial junctures, and gradually prepare your consciousness for the fuller remembering that accompanies spiritual awakening. Each small breach in the veil reminds you that forgetting is a temporary condition, a purposeful limitation that will gradually give way to expanded awareness as your journey unfolds. The transition from spiritual to physical existence represents one of the most profound journeys your soul ever undertakes, a sacred passage bridging dimensions of being. In the final moments before birth, as your soul approaches full integration with your physical form, an extraordinary process unfolds that shapes your entire human experience. This crossing begins as the soul, having completed its preparations and established its intentions for the coming life, begins to narrow its focus from the expansive awareness of spiritual realms toward the specific point of consciousness that will become your human identity. Like a beam of light passing through a prism, your vast spiritual awareness gradually refracts into the more limited spectrum of human perception. During this convergence, the soul experiences a profound shift in its mode of existence. From the multidimensional, non-linear experience of spiritual reality, it begins to adapt to the sequential, time-bound nature of physical experience. This adaptation requires a fundamental realignment of consciousness, a recalibration that allows the infinite to express through the finite without destroying the delicate vessel of human awareness. As the soul draws closer to full embodiment, it begins the delicate process of integrating with the developing brain and nervous system of the infant body. This integration isn't merely a mechanical process, but a profound communion between spirit and matter. The soul must learn to express itself through the neurological structures that will serve as its interface with physical reality, establishing pathways through which spiritual intention can manifest as physical action. In these final moments before birth, the soul reviews once more the core intentions and lessons it has chosen for this incarnation. These aren't detailed plans, but rather essential themes and directions, the spiritual equivalent of planting seeds that will unfold throughout the lifetime according to the unique conditions they encounter. Some souls focus on specific relationships they intend to heal, others on talents they wish to develop, still others on service they hope to render to humanity or the planet. The process of spiritual amnesia intensifies as birth approaches. Like waves gradually washing away writing in the sand, the memories of spiritual existence begin to recede from what will become conscious awareness. Yet importantly, these memories aren't destroyed. They're simply transferred to deeper levels of being. What appears as forgetting from the perspective of the conscious mind is actually a redistribution of knowledge, with the soul's wisdom being stored in the subconscious, the body's cellular memory, and the higher aspects of self that remain connected to spiritual dimensions even during physical life. This memory transfer serves multiple purposes. It protects the developing human consciousness from being overwhelmed by spiritual information it isn't yet equipped to process. It ensures that the lessons chosen for this life will be encountered freshly, without the distortion that would come from conscious foreknowledge. And perhaps most importantly, it creates the conditions for authentic human experience, the opportunity to discover truth through lived experience rather than merely remembering what was already known. As the moment of birth approaches, many souls experience a profound mixture of anticipation and reluctance. There is eagerness for the new journey about to begin, the opportunities for growth and expression that physical life offers. Yet there is also natural hesitation about leaving the perfect love and belonging of spiritual home for the more limited and challenging conditions of earthly existence. This ambivalence often manifests in the birthing process itself, periods of progress followed by temporary retreat, mirroring the soul's own approach and withdrawal as it prepares for full embodiment. The actual moment of birth represents a pivotal threshold between worlds. The first breath serves as both a physiological necessity and a profound spiritual ritual, the official beginning of the soul's expression through physical form. When a newborn takes that first breath, it isn't merely filling its lungs with air, but also anchoring its spiritual essence more firmly within the body. This is why many spiritual traditions around the world place such significance on the first breath, seeing it as the moment when the soul fully commits to its earthly journey. The tears that often accompany birth have deeper significance than merely physical distress. From a spiritual perspective, these first cries frequently represent the soul's momentary recognition of what it has temporarily left behind, a natural expression of the contrast between the perfect unity of spiritual existence and the separation inherent in physical form. This isn't a reflection of trauma, but rather a sacred grief that honors the magnitude of the transition being made. Yet birth also brings profound spiritual joy. There is celebration among spiritual guides and soul family members as a beloved soul embarks on its new adventure. There is recognition of the courage required to undertake the journey into forgetting and limitation. And there is profound respect for the growth and contribution that will become possible through this willing descent into material existence. In the hours and days following birth, the final adjustments in consciousness occur as the soul becomes more fully integrated with its physical vehicle. The veil of forgetting reaches its greatest density, though as mentioned in earlier chapters, it remains thinner in infants and young children than in adults. During this period, the spiritual support team, guides, angels, and soul family members remain especially close, easing the transition and providing energetic support as the newly embodied soul adapts to physical reality. Understanding this crossing from spiritual to physical existence offers profound insights into your own journey. It helps explain the sense of displacement or homesickness many people feel throughout their lives, the subtle but persistent awareness of belonging to something beyond this world. It illuminates why certain spiritual truths feel like remembering rather than learning, because they are indeed reconnections with what your soul has always known. And it clarifies why spiritual awakening often feels like a homecoming, a return to the awareness that existed before the forgetting. By honoring the sacred passage that brought you into physical existence, you develop greater compassion for yourself and others navigating the human journey. The forgetting that occurred at birth wasn't a mistake or punishment, but a necessary aspect of the incarnation process, one that made possible the unique growth and experiences that only physical existence can provide. As you continue your spiritual development, you gradually recover aspects of what was set aside during that crossing. The veil thins through practices like meditation, through moments of transcendent love or creativity, and through the natural maturation that comes with age and experience. This remembering doesn't negate the value of human experience, but rather enriches it, bringing together the wisdom of both worlds in service to your soul's evolution and the greater good of all beings. The crossing from spiritual to physical existence represents not a departure, but an extension, the soul's courageous journey into new territory for the purpose of growth, service, and the expansion of consciousness. By understanding this process, you honor the profound choice your soul made to undertake this human journey, embracing both the forgetting and the remembering as sacred aspects of your continuing evolution. If these spiritual insights resonated with your soul, there's a reason. Perhaps your higher self is guiding you toward remembering more of who you truly are. Subscribe now to continue this journey of spiritual remembrance together. Every like strengthens our collective consciousness, and every comment creates ripples of awakening for others seeking these truths. What part of this teaching stirred something deep within you? Share below and help another soul remember. The veil is thinning. Let's walk through it together.